Welcome to Film for Thought, a film podcast by film students for film students. I'm your host, Michael Ardizabal, and today is a very special episode because I have Houston Sins here with me.
Hey guys.
Houston is normally a DP and he studies film at Loyola University, currently a sophomore. And Houston and me directed, we made a movie last semester called Roads Diverge. We're currently in post-production and we're really excited to talk about it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. It's gonna be fun. I'm excited.
Yeah. Houston, I know you've done like work in the past and stuff. Do you sort of want to like talk about sort of the work you've done in, the past couple of months?
Past couple months I've done so over quarantine I shot a film called Academic Anxiety, and I kind of just made it for fun cuz during quarantine, not really hanging with people.
Yeah.
So I was like I need to write something. And I was just really like itching to make a project. So I wrote it. It was a lot of drafts, and it turned out good, ish.
Houston sent it to me like a little bit before he was in his final draft, and we went through and the editing process, and I kind of want to get into that in the podcast. And we've been talking for a while to start talking about this stuff in the podcast since we started shooting Roads Diverge, actually. um it's been a kind of a wild ride being in or around the film industry during COVID, and sort of having to adjust as like young newly minted filmmakers into the industry while this whole chaos is going on. It's been very interesting to say the least. But like your how was your like experience with like shooting specifically your movie, and how was like your process of getting the actors and everything and like getting locations locked?
Okay, so pretty much when I started writing, it was just like, what do I have access to? And one thing I had access to was my own house, my grandparents' house, and my friend Matthew's house, who was my DP. So all the scenes I wrote was, around that. And I mean that's kind of just how it went, like writing wise. Like I only, wrote with what I knew or what I knew I had.
And how did like the premise of like academic anxiety? I mean, do you want like do you want to like give it like a short synopsis so people at
Yeah.
home can sort of
Yeah, so
get the
it's like it's a film about two idiots who pretty much steal exam answer keys from professors and sell them to college students who have more money to spend than time to study. So there, it's a good business thing, but they get caught stealing an answer key, and they have to do something they don't want. So that's
Yeah,
pretty much the
definitely.
plot. Yeah.
I really like the premise. I mean, growing up in a high school where people had more money to spend than time to study. It's I don't know. I really liked it. In the drafts, and something really important that I also wanted to talk about was what you did when you sent me the draft, and something I feel like really important that most young filmmakers disregard, which is like the ability to send cuts to people and to get notes.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like people normally disregard because everybody wants to be like a director, screenwriter, do be like a multifaceted thing within themselves, but they also forget the point of critique, the difference from like criticism or vitriolic criticism and like actual critique, where you break down the movie into what's essential, and especially when it comes to editing and it comes to screenwriting and it comes to what like the development of the idea and how that ends up distributing, and what people end up actually taking from it.
Um. Sorry, that was long. Could you
Like why did you like reach out? Why do you feel like it's sort of important to get criticism and critique on your work?
Okay, so I wish I really had gotten critique while I was writing, because I was the only one like critiquing my work, and my brother, who kind of just skimmed it. He's not a film major or anything. But I made 10 drafts of it, and those were just all my own notes. And I really wish I had like you read it, or just many other people read it, because I thought it was great at the time, and then I cut the film, and I'm just like, oh my god, like, what is this? And then I had to do all the story work while editing. I had to cut a few scenes just to kind of make it more consistent. And
Yeah.
criticism's really important. I wish I had gotten more while writing, for
Yeah, I feel
sure.
like that's sort of a topic that I feel like it doesn't get covered enough for new filmmakers or like people who are studying it. It's like the aspect of like you make something and it's like you have to make it you have to people have to see it and break it in order to make it better, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's right now Houston and me are taking a class on digital editing where we are actually editing, the movie we shot, which is Roads Diverged. And when it came to the development of the project, I made sure that I could get as many eyes as possible on the script, so it can be as good as possible.
hmm
But I also feel that if more people saw it and more people, especially like in the industry and or who know of how to execute like something from like script to screen, would in fact make it better. And I feel like that is like a value that isn't taught enough, or
hmm
like should be heavily reinforced and like kept very ingrained in people, or that make films and stuff.
Yeah, it feels like you know today, we live in this like industry where there's so many, auteur filmmakers like Nolan and, Paul Thomas Anderson. And yeah, they get notes, but we assume that they just, write it like that. Like it's just perfect from the start. But they're getting like feedback from so many people they trust, and just, that's what makes the films good, is all this feedback.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
we really need more of it. And I think we kind of forget. I mean, we don't forget, but we do, how really like collaborative filmmaking is. It's just so important.
Yeah, because like I mean everybody is like, when you get into film they're like, oh, it's auteur. And
Yeah,
it's like it's all
yeah,
about the auteur. And
yeah,
those who don't know what auteur is basically like person that instills their vision into everything and every aspect of a film. But I feel like people also seem to forget the aspect of collaboration. I mean,
yeah,
it's one of the mediums. I think George Orwell was somebody that said you need an army to direct a film. Like you
yeah,
need an army, and
yeah,
that's not to say that you can't make something good by yourself, but it's to say that you need people to watch in order to resonate. Like you can make something good by yourself, but it can be so much more and so much better if you collaborate and you like share, and then you critique and you go back and you like unravel it to realize what are the essence of what I want to express on screen. And I saw actually recently a what's it called? Like a TEDx talk or something about with Taika Waititi.
ooh,
Yeah,
nice,
and he said, and he was talking about screenwriting and like the aspect of story, and he said like normally what I do, which most people don't do, is I grab a script, I sit down, I write the whole thing. I write 90 to 180 pages, and I throw it away, and then I leave it stored somewhere for 2 to 3 years, and then I revisit it, read it back, and then I burn it, and then I write everything back from memory, because that way you're able to sort of be like, you'll read it back and you'll be like, this part is kind of stupid. I don't know why he wrote this. And then you go back and you're like, this is the essential parts that I remember from the story. And then after that you send it off to people who have other worldly perspectives and how they're other, sort of ways of perceiving things that you do. And at the end of the day, the people watching the movie aren't you.
yeah. No, that sounds like a ridiculous method. I can't lie. That is insane. I could never do that.
I mean, it, worked for him.
It does work for him. I mean, his films are great.
Yeah, his films
They're
are
amazing.
great, but
But like,
it's the aspect of, it's really about sort of reanalyzing and revisiting. It's like, and that term of like the best writing is rewriting. I mean, it is that in essence, but it's
yeah,
also like the reason why the best rewriting, the best form of writing is rewriting. I feel like is because like you revisit it with more perspective than you had before on the story and yourself as a
Mm-hmm.
person.
Yeah.
And because of that, you grow and you expand and you get to perceive things that you didn't before, because like, something happens, you are intrinsically different than you were before a thing, whatever it may be, happened.
Mm-hmm.
So you grow and you evolve as a person, and then you go back and revisit a story that you wrote, and then you're like, I have a different perspective, and it's like it's locking down the essence of that story within the view of a new perspective.
It's the fact that he waits 2 to 3 years to like, that's, oh my god, I could never. When I write, like, I'm dying to tell this story, like I can't just wait like 2 to 3 years. That's
Yeah, I mean, it's
but whatever works for him.
what. Yeah, I mean, it's been working. It's been working.
Yeah, it has. He's
But
he's been killing it.
in regards to, I feel like you're one of the people that I've met the most that has a very quick turnaround period.
What do you mean by that?
You have, like, you have an idea, and then you're like, execute, and then you go from development to distribution, like that.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Like the conversation I had with you, I think, like, before we left, I asked you, like, oh, what are you going to do for break? And then you were like, oh, I don't know, I'll figure it out. And then you came back and I asked you, like, how's your break? And you're like, oh, I shot a movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to shoot a film that I wrote, but it was a short break. I didn't have as many resources as I did over the summer. So luckily my friend Eris, who, incredible actor, by the way, I've known him since I was like 3. He texted me and he was like, hey, I have this like short film idea, and the Paper Airplane one. Yeah. And we just did it, and God, it was awesome. It was really fun, even though there was so much that went wrong with it. Especially, I got COVID while shooting the film.
It's well, at least you have that perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like mid shoot. You can resonate with everybody who's shooting that new Batman movie.
Yeah, exactly. And Eris, who was the director and the actor and writer for it, he flew his girlfriend out from New York City to shoot, and then I was like, I have COVID. I found out the day we were shooting because I woke up with no taste and smell. So that was really a bummer. But you watched it. You said that maybe that scene would have taken away from the film.
Yeah, I mean, right before shooting this episode, like, Houston showed me the short film they shot, and it was like about 4 to 5 minutes, like a good good amount of time, and it's very hard also to make a concise story in a short framework,
especially with no words.
Yeah. Like, I did an internship, like, what was it, like 3 or 4 years ago for the Miami Short Film Festival.
Oh, nice.
And a lot of the time that I was there, I had to go in and watch a lot of the submissions. And
watch the missions?
The submissions.
Oh, submissions, okay.
And one of the categories for, the awards is it's called short film. And it's what is it? It's like a movie. It's like a short film, but it has to be the most like 5 minutes. You have like, it's like the least is like 30 seconds, and it's like the most is like, it's 5 minutes. And from what I've seen because I saw some of the previous year's winners from that specific category, normally the ones that won were the ones that had the least amount of time, because they were able to tell a story more effectively with less time.
Yeah. There was I did a 1-minute film festival a few years ago, and I got second place, which is pretty cool. And telling a story in a minute's really hard. Like, I was like scrambling to come up with an idea for it, but I just came up with the idea, and it was this man drinks a bottle of juice and turns to a giant, and it was a cute little film. And
but it's
not really a story, but
I mean, it depends what you constitute a story. I'd say
it's definitely better than some of my longer films. I will say that.
Like, it's the aspect of, like, you're condensing. I mean, the reason why it's so popular to have a story that's so short is because you're condensing something that could be condensed. It's like, it's an aspect of, if you strip away all the unnecessary filler, it makes the essence of a story correct. It's like, not to say that making, the shorter you make it, the better it is. It's to say that it makes you critique everything about your idea
Yeah,
until you get to the absolute core of the idea, and then you're
totally.
like,
Yeah.
execute.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
So, going back into academic anxiety and everything, how, how was, the process? Like, when did you start shooting and when did you finish?
So we started shooting I think it was like late July, and we shot for 4 days straight. And, in like the biz, they're shooting like 5 days straight, like all day. And we only shot all day one day. And we were exhausted by the fourth day. And I was like, oh my God. I just said, guys, we're taking a week off. We're taking 1 week off. And we did. We came back and we had 3 more shooting days. And then we wrapped. And yeah, I really learned how like hard it is. And
Yeah,
I
it really
loved
is.
it. And I love it being challenging. But my God, like,
People tend to forget. Like, they watch a movie and they sit there and they're like, oh, like, that movie was good or bad. But after being on set for, like, and what it takes to be on set, you really become appreciative even if it's a bad film,
mhm.
because it's not easy work. Especially, like, academic anxiety is what is it, like, 25
The
minutes
first cut we had was 33 minutes,
33
and
minutes
then the final cut is like 25 minutes, 30 seconds, something like that.
Yeah, it's people tend to forget a lot of how much time goes into being on set and how exhausting it can be, because if you're shooting like a feature length film, so about 90 to 180 minutes, that means that you're going to be on set for about 2 to 3 months on average,
Hmm.
and you're talking about what, 5 days a week, 12 to 14 hour
A lot of
days,
overtime
a
too.
lot of
That's where they get their
overtime.
money, is
And that's,
overtime.
yeah, that's where people in the industry get money.
Yeah,
It's
because they're over schedule.
but at the same time, it's exhausting.
Hmm.
That's the aspect of it that you're talking about. It's not easy work,
Yeah.
and it's also very easy to lose perspective, you know.
Yeah, totally.
I was talking to a senior who's doing their senior thesis right now, and I I I kind of resonate with what she was saying. It was the aspect of you sit in front of a computer and then you look at things you've shot like months prior, and then you're like, what is this story? Like, you can go back, read the script, but every time you see a shot and then you like look it back, you're like, it just sort of blobs in, and I'd say it's very difficult to make a concise story, especially for independent filmmakers that are just doing a lot of things that multiple people are doing.
And it makes me think about like, big movies. Like I was watching behind the scenes for Harry Potter over the break. For each film, they had like around like 270 shoot days. Oh my God. Oh my God, are you kidding me? That is like, you know, from like 6 a.m. to like 9 p.m. I mean,
And you're talking about,
something like
like,
that.
it's when you're working, what, 13 hours on average for 5 days a week.
Hmm.
That is your life.
Yeah.
You, for those 270 days, the only thing you got on your mind is set and making this movie. And it's like, it's such a tedious process and when you're in it, it feels so slow at the point where you forget why you're there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, you probably got to that point where you were editing. I think you mentioned this when we're in break and we're going back and forth talking about the third cut of academic anxiety,
Hmm.
that you were like, I don't know what this film is anymore. It's like,
Yeah.
you get to that point of like, how do I build this story?
It just, you realize while editing, and especially with your first cut, just how messy your story is, and how it just wasn't what you visioned. But you just gotta keep like, keep going. You gotta keep fighting and find the story in the cut. That's really what it is, I think. Because it's like the footage is the paint, and then the canvas is like editing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
Because you
sure.
can, I mean, for AA, academic anxiety, I'll just call it AA. It's easier. Um, you know, for the like second or third cut, like the opening scene we had was completely different. It just started right when they were driving, but no one who was watching it knew what the hell was going on. So I was like, I need an opening scene to explain everything, and it added a lot to the film, and
Yeah, I mean, I watched your first cut and like
the first cut, the very
yeah,
first
the
one.
very first
Oh
one you sent
man.
me, and I watched it, and in comparison, that's why you always have to go back to the drawing board, and
Mm-hmm.
why people forget. I mean, that's why sometimes like film has to be that critical. It's because if it isn't, then you will lose the essence of what it is. Like, you need to be critical, because editing can be a tedious process, especially for independent filmmakers that don't understand, the editing process too. Because like, I mean, especially like us taking like the class and learning all the technical aspects. It's like, if you don't know all those technical aspects, the ability for you to tell a story will be incredibly hindered,
Mm-hmm.
because you don't know the techniques involved and the organization involved with it. Because there's an incredible amount of organization and workflow aspect to it, in order to be like, to make editing an art form.
Yeah, totally. And Roads Diverged. Let's talk about that. I've been wanting to. First of all, I'm just really excited to start cutting Roads Diverged. And what do you have you gone back and watched the footage?
You know what? For I don't know if I mentioned this in the podcast before, but I I wrote and directed this short film called Roads Diverged, which we're currently in post production for.
It
And if
was
any,
so fun to shoot. It was just a
yeah,
little exhausting,
it
and
was
things went wrong.
yeah, it was 3 days, 12 hours each day on average, and it was back to back to back, and for people not used to being on set, it was very grueling.
Yeah.
Um, but I feel like uh, I went back during break, like when, like sometimes you just have to like clear your head
Mm-hmm.
before you go back.
Yeah.
If not, you're just gonna not really see it. And I watched some clips, and I mean, I really just kind of forgot the story. I mean, like, it's so easy to forget what you're doing and forget the essence of what you're making. And it's like, I came to appreciate how, I mean, filmmakers actually do what they do, because like, I can't even imagine the amount of bad films I've seen
Mm-hmm.
that were in actuality great scripts.
Yeah. Totally. Totally. Trying to think of. Sorry, keep going. I don't want to.
No, 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 like,
I'm
go.
I'm just trying to think of like movies with great scripts that just had that were just horrible films. I was
I
thinking
think
of
of
one the other day.
Prometheus.
Ooh. Yeah, no, I watched
Prometheus
Prometheus.
it's a bad film. It's
It's
a bad
very
movie,
forgettable.
but it's like, I mean, and
I love
talking
Ridley Scott, by the way.
talking about screenwriting in general, and talking about like, for example, like Robert McKee, who wrote Story, and it's like the Bible for screenwriters. It's he sort of quotes and like gives you a quantitative amount of people who write scripts each year. And it's like, he says, the movies you see in the movie theater are the best scripts. Even if they're god awful movies, those are the best scripts that were written that year.
Totally agree.
And it's like, and if there were good scripts and then they got twisted and converted into a bad movie, because though I consider screenwriting and story to be king, like when it comes to film, it is only a piece of the puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and I really felt that when, I was watching, the raw footage of the project, and I was like, this could easily be terrible.
Yeah.
It's so easy to like, one misstep and the whole thing comes down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're gonna have to really, kick some ass editing this film.
Yeah.
um,
it's really made me appreciative of organization.
mm-hmm.
Especially like, we had, a sort of a hiccup with the audio per se.
Yeah, we were getting interference because we were close to a hospital. Or that? Oh, are you talking about post production, not while shooting?
No, not while shooting, but like the
With the
like
folder
or
structure,
the
yeah. Oh,
folder
that was a
structure.
nightmare. A nightmare.
And it's like when you start making a project and you like you're in physical production where you on set, you do so many things and you're all over the place because like things need to get shot. The movie has to get made.
Yeah.
And most of the time it has to get made regardless of whether it's critically good or bad. It it makes you appreciative of what is a good movie.
Yeah, yeah. Also, there were so many times on set where, like, maybe, like, for example, when the monitor died and we didn't have backup batteries, or maybe we were just too lazy. We were too low on time to go grab another battery. We had to shoot without a monitor, and that's just kind of one of those moments where we're just like, fuck it. But it gave us, like, those shots were, like, overexposed, and
Yeah, it's I feel like the biggest problem on set that we had was, the shot list, you know.
oh, for sure.
Like
Yeah, yeah.
if we it's just I know I've repeated this a lot, but it's like I just the appreciation for the craft. And it's like it's people who go above and beyond in film are not given the props that they should.
Hmm.
Like it's so incredibly easy to mess up on set because it's a tense environment. You're working and everything can go wrong. The things that you can control go wrong, like the weather that happened to us.
Yeah, when it rained.
And it's
Yeah.
like luckily I researched before that and we had alternative plans for it, but it still hindered our ability to make the project.
Hmm. But we did a pretty good job with, solving that problem, and shot the next morning, and turned out well.
Yeah,
It's a good scene.
I think it did.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, getting more in depth in Roads Diverge and stuff. I how's your process? How did what did you think about the project, in general, and like, like everything that went down and set and everything.
It went very well, but one thing is that I shotlist myself. So shotlisting with you was a challenge, not because there was any creative differences, but because, like, you have a vision, I see something, but I'm gonna go with what you want because you're the director. That was really just hard. And also, God, we shotlisted in Celtics, man. What a pain.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
Celtics is how would I put it? Not good.
Yeah, not good. Yeah.
Not good.
Yeah.
It'll get you by, but it's not preferable. What's the one that like most people in the industry use, Movie Maker or something like that?
I just do it by hand.
You do it by hand.
Yeah,
I did it by hand, and I mean, like I did like some like the production work, like what was it? Just putting in like all the specific scenes that we were doing per like for everything, and like dividing it by day in Celtics, and that was just it was painful.
Mm-hmm.
And then I at one point I was like, no, there's got to be a quicker process, and I did it there in Celtics, and it took me 3 days, and it took me 3 or 4 hours to do it in Excel by myself.
Use Excel?
Yeah, I use Excel.
Oh yeah, that's what we used for like the checklist thing.
Yeah, it was Excel. It
Yeah.
was like me and the AD Maya Lewis. Yeah, that's what we did, and it was so much better. It was a lot more effective and stuff. Like I feel like Celtics. I mean, Celtics is good for the breakdown of the script,
Mm-hmm.
of like just going there and then just making sure it was like every department has what they need, being like I need this, and then they can write it there. And
Yeah,
it's
like all the props and stuff was really helpful.
yeah,
and all the
that was really
applications.
helpful. Like being like these are the props that we need, and Celtics was really helpful for that. But when it came down to actually doing production work or like pre-producing, it was just unbearable.
Yeah, I love doing it all by hand and then just like photocopying it, because I don't know, It's just I don't know. It just works better for me.
I
Plus, if
mean,
I have
but
a mistake, I just
yeah, I
cross it
mean,
out.
but what you said of like doing the shot list, but not having like written, or like not like it's not your idea. Um, I mean, you did that before for the short film you just showed me.
Yeah, yeah. Eris had never directed before. He's just an actor.
Hmm.
So I made the shot list for him, which I'm really glad. If he was there saying, like, I want this shot and this shot, I'd be kind of confused. But honestly, I'm gonna have to get used to that because I'm gonna have DPs.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that people don't really. I mean, it's just like you have to sort of fall in line with other people's ideas, and especially when you're working with other people and it's like their idea and it's like what you're doing. It's like, like what I was telling you, like I was like sound mixing for somebody else,
Hmm.
and it's like obviously integrating like I mean, in a technical aspect, like you know what to do, but it's like doing it in a fashion that they want. Like, oh, I want room tone in a certain fashion, or I want something in a very certain specific way. It gets kind of
It
confusing,
does, yeah.
but I mean, it's something that I feel like it's just like a rinse and repeat type thing that you just, after a certain amount of times, you learn how to do. And it's everybody gets used to, I wrote, directed, and was the head, like the director of photography for my film. Like that's a thing.
Hmm.
But I feel, I mean, in the industry, that's not how it works. Like,
Yeah.
you give a script and you're a director and you give like directorial notes, obviously, but at the same time it's like the DP and the cinematographer have creative execution of what's on screen, how it projects on screen. But especially with our limited like our time frame,
Yeah.
we really had to bum rush a lot of things
We were
because
really getting coverage, is what
yeah,
we were doing. We didn't really get dreamy with shots. We did in some, but it was mostly just we got to make sure we get the shots.
yeah, a lot of the time we started, for those who don't know, we started pre-production about, I'd say, the first week of September, last week of August, and we had everything shot and delivered by second week of November, I'd say, right? About the second week of November.
Um, yeah, we finished before Halloween because
Yeah.
we were gonna have a like a day. We had like a day reserved for Halloween, but then we're like, no, it's
I know
Halloween.
I know we shot, or like at least for pre-production work, we had from the last week of August to October 23rd. That was the first day of shoot. And normally you would get a lot more time for it, I think.
Yeah.
And
Did we, sorry to interrupt. Did we delay the shoot by a week?
no,
No,
they
we never had delays besides the rainy day.
the from one of the producers on the project, which I love him. Shout out to Cal.
Cal.
Yeah, he did
Cal.
amazing work. He thought it was a good idea to shoot the next weekend to prepare a little bit more.
Hmm.
But I I got one of those sixth senses, like one of those like things that were like, I don't like, no, like
Hmm.
I just like I put my foot down and I was like, no, like things are programmed by this time, and if we have even one day in difference, it would just cause a problem. And surprisingly enough, the next weekend after the one we shot,
Oh, that was a hurricane.
a hurricane came to New
Yeah,
Orleans,
that's when the power went out for
and the
like
power
four
went out for
days.
4 days, like
Yeah.
3 to 4 days.
Oh, that would have been such a disaster, dude. Oh
Yeah,
my god.
and it was one of those things where I just set my foot down and it worked. I don't know, like sometimes you really do have to trust your gut when it comes to like setting certain parameters and like trusting your gut feeling that most people don't really consider.
Hmm.
Most people are like, I feel like some films don't thrive because they're so wishy-washy, like and when it comes to production, because I've seen some people like be on set and it's like yes, it is a collaborative business, and yes, take like take the notes of everyone on set, obviously, like I'm not saying that, but what I will say is that you, at the end of the day, the final decision lies, in you sometimes, and you have to decide. And people are always gonna agree or disagree with it, but sometimes it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It might not always work, but trusting gut feeling is something I think is really crucial. And I
It really
learned that
is.
with the shoot of Roads Diverged.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I would have been like, sure, let's move it, like it would have been fine, we would have had a lot worse of a movie.
Yeah, I mean, when I was shooting AA, there was one day where we didn't shot list, and it's because I was sick. I didn't have COVID or anything, but I don't know, ate some bad Papa John's or something, and I got really sick, so I didn't shot list that day. And I knew I had this gut feeling that it was going to be a disaster, and it went really well until we got to the garage scene, and then oh my god, it was a disaster. Like, just you just gotta trust your gut. Like, if you know it's gonna be bad, like, do something about it. I did nothing,
Yeah.
and the worst scene, the most important scene in the film turned out to be the worst.
And when it comes to, I mean, that gut feeling, or like you, I mean, yeah, like I mean, I've always been a stickler for organization and like keeping everything extremely meticulous. Like, I mean, when it came to planning where we're gonna get the actors from, unlocking location, and where we're getting props from and everything, like I was like, everything has to fit in, and be like perfect in a sense, because if it isn't, then it will in a way cripple the film. And that's not to say that a film like even if you do all these things, a film still has problems, because when you're on set, things that you could have never accounted for normally can be problems. Like what was it, day 2, that the lavaliers just weren't working?
Yeah, because we were shooting next to a hospital. I mean, I don't know if this was the problem, but we suspect. Near the airport, near hospital, we were getting so much interference, and it was a nightmare for Alvin, because we just took so much time in between takes. Like, oh, it's fuzzy. Like, I got to get closer. I got to get farther. Got to change the batteries in the lab, even though it didn't work. There's just so many things.
Yeah,
like that.
and sometimes you really do have to roll with the punches. Like, we had an external monitor for the project, which for the most part really, really helped.
Helped a ton.
It was so like incredibly well.
Because if we didn't have it, there'd be many shots where we're just that much out of focus, and it just ruins it.
Yeah, and it's like and it's like you can be an inch away from having what you want, but that inch is gonna make the difference.
Mm-hmm.
That inch is like, it's a good movie or it's a bad movie.
Yeah.
Or it's like it made the scene or destroyed it. Or it's like people could only focus on the reason that was unfocused instead of like the actual context of the film.
Yeah.
And it's like yeah, like there was like 3 hours where we didn't have that external monitor.
I think it was just like
I think it was just a couple of shots actually.
Yeah,
I don't think it was that bad.
It was towards the end. We were just grinding to finish. It's like the last few shots, and God, they are overexposed.
Yeah, I felt really bad because I made Cal, our producer, I left one of the external monitors charging, because we just got the set super early, and we ended the day super late, and you have to, after you get out of set, the director has to prep, and I was like prepping everything, making sure everything was all right, and I didn't get enough time. Like, it was like 2 a.m, or like 2 or 3, and I had to and they plugged in the thing and it wasn't ready yet, and I just knew, like, I just had to leave it, and I felt so bad that I made the producer go get it.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just have to sacrifice in some ways to be able to get the best product possible. And I feel like if I learned something from this project being like the first professionally done with real actors,
that was definitely the most professional shoot I've done, for sure.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I learned so much. Like, I can't even quantify
so much
the things I learned in that project.
Mm-hmm. And how important having a team is. We had a kick-ass team.
Yeah,
incredible. Everyone did such a good job.
Yeah, everybody. If anybody that worked on this project is listening, like,
We
Definitely.
love you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you
And
so much.
we're gonna use y'all again
Yeah.
for sure.
Definitely coming up with different projects.
Yeah.
And it's there's a learning curve, you know. There's like, especially being in film school, it's so different, and a lot of film schools don't prioritize being like on camera or on set and like doing things, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And I mean, I'm so grateful that our department and where we are actually does those things and enforces you to be on set and to learn all these things and to learn the etiquette of that comes down to being on set and to
Mm-hmm.
execute it yourself, which is phenomenal. And I feel like, you know, it's like, you know, learning the book is half the battle, and then learning that practical aspects of like, this is what a director does on set, not on paper but on set, and this is how you have to act, and this is how the DP acts, and this is how the sound mixer acts, and this is how they come together, is so important.
Mm-hmm. It was. I'm just so like that was just such a good experience. Like I just had such a good time shooting, and God, I learned so much. Like I
Yeah.
can't stress that enough. And
The only thing, I mean, this is my first.
this was like your
Yeah.
first real short
I
too.
mean,
How long have you been making films?
I
I know this, but I don't. You've told me
yeah,
before.
I made
Yeah.
one completely by myself, except with, you know, the people that were actually on camera, and like I just told them exactly what to do and what to say. Senior, like the summer before senior year, and then the one we shot together,
The 1, 2, 3.
the 1, 2, 3 project,
God,
Sam's
man.
Heart. That one was tricky.
Yeah,
It
well,
wasn't the it
we
wasn't it
were
wasn't it wasn't my best work, I'd
no,
say. I
neither
like the
was mine.
concept though. I like
My
the
one, two,
concept.
three was horrifying, embarrassing.
Um
And I'm embarrassed for my actors because I didn't direct them well at all. Sammy came in last minute. He
yeah.
came in 5 minutes before we started.
Props to Sammy Beal for coming in.
But Landon, he's so funny and such a good actor, and I didn't direct him well at all. There were so many things we did wrong with our 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, and it's like I talked to the head of department of Loyola and of film, and and this was a conversation I had with him my freshman year. Was like, I told him like, I don't know how to actually shoot a film. It's like, I don't know why you're making us do this for our final. Like it's like, it's very hard and very complex, and it's like I really don't feel like a semester is enough to get it right. And then he just said,
You never have enough time.
you never have enough time.
Mhm.
And then he said, it's like, I was like, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's good or not. It doesn't matter if the story's immaculate or not. It matters that you go from development to distribution and know the process of what it takes to do all these things. And even if it's a surface level, you have to go from point A to point B. And we were kind of talking about this a little bit before the podcast, but it's the process of making it, and also learning to make the process from extremely technical and then putting the creative aspects into that, and to separating like the technical aspect is down and it isn't a problem, and then you only do and only focus on the creativity of the project.
Yeah, yeah. It's like that Reddit post we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was some guy on Reddit who was he posted on the director forum saying like, "Oh, you know, I just don't feel confident in myself. Like my footage looks amateur. I just started." And I commented and I was like, "You know, you're learning, you know, like we all learn. I mean, God, our 1, 2, 3s were horrible, and look where we are now.
Yeah.
You know, not like we're making like Citizen Kane or anything like
Yeah,
but they're so much better. I mean,
yeah, it's like in the lapse of, what was that, 7 or 10 months, we ended up improving at an exponential rate. You know, we were able to like go from like, how the fuck do we light this scene,
yeah,
to, hey, like let's position the lights like this, and that will give this sort of connotation and emotion that will eventually like transpire the actor's appearance on scene. And that is, I feel like, what separates someone who's an amateur being like, this shot looks pretty, to I need my shot to look like this so I can do X, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's like how I mean you've definitely shot a lot more stuff than I have. I'm a lot more focused on just writing and
What age
quantity.
did you start shooting?
I mean, I I'd say 17,
Okay.
and it's yeah, like I'd say 7. I did things when I was a kid, but I
Mhm.
wouldn't really count that as, like an actual film or anything.
Yeah, I mean, like we're like on the same level, and I've been shooting longer, so that really shows like you're learning fast. You know, we all are. We're learning a ton.
Yeah, and
You
it's
know.
I feel like it's definitely on the aspect of the program that we're in.
Mhm.
Like definitely shout out to Professor Racine in
Yeah,
here.
big shout out to Loyola. Like
Yeah.
we got a kick ass film school here.
Yeah,
Like
Loyola's certainly
seriously.
underrated for film, and I
Yeah.
feel like in a couple of years people are gonna start noticing, because
Yeah.
when I got here in freshman year and talking to people who were seniors at the time when I was a freshman, they're like, "Oh, the program has evolved exponentially,"
Hmm.
and like that speaks a lot to what like. And I mean, I was the teaching assistant for intro to digital film, and I saw the films,
Hmm.
like I saw all of them,
Hmm.
and they were impressive. Like
The
they,
one, two,
yeah,
threes.
they weren't bad, they were impressive,
For
and it's
being a
like
new filmmaker.
yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
exactly, like
Yeah.
comparatively speaking, from what was our generate, like what was the class of 2023 for film at Loyola
Hmm.
to what's class of 2024 from Loyola, you can see how the film program is just advancing.
Yeah. Also, this might not sound significant, but it is. When we were freshmen shooting our 1, 2, 3, we were shooting our sound separately,
Yeah,
and you never do that when you start. And we were slating and doing all that. That's people
and that
just
makes that those small things like that just make all the difference.
yeah. I mean, you might think like, oh, you're in film school, like no shit, you'll be slating and shooting sound separately, but like no, I mean they don't do this at many other schools.
Yeah, it's like I'm not going to mention the school, but somebody who transferred in from a different school to Loyola's program was like, "Oh no, we were just using like our own cameras."
A lot of phones and
Yeah, I
like
was like, "We're using our own cameras, and like we had zero, if all, none equipment,
or like shooting
and
on
like you were
Canon T3Is or
exactly, and you weren't learning the technical aspects of what filmmaking is." And
Mhm.
it's like if you don't learn that and you don't understand the fun, like how the intricacies of how it works, then how are you expected to make a good story?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like they're also just teaching like you just dump your footage into Final Cut, but it's like no, we're like making dailies and
Yeah,
through
it's like
Resolve and putting them in Avid, and it's like, bro, no, other schools aren't doing this. We're kind of like just worshiping Loyola right now,
yeah,
low key.
we really are. We just went on
Yeah,
a tangent. This is a commercial.
yeah, yeah.
If any film student is looking for apply to anyone.
No, but seriously, like,
And we like the thing is, okay, yeah, we are praising Loyola a lot, but at the same time, they're all valid points and they're all very
yeah,
reasonable.
we're not just
Especially,
saying this because we go here. Like,
yeah,
this
like
is
it's
true.
like Loyola has a lot of faults,
Many,
but
many.
even the film school, like I'm not gonna say it's immaculate, but the thing is, you want a program that evolves
It's
with its
vigorous and
students.
so hands on and so professional. Like with with how everyone's remotely editing. The people who are taking online classes,
Yeah, it's
they're using software that they're using to cut. Like Suicide Squad, everyone's working from home
yeah,
to cut that, and they're using the same
it's
softwares.
incredible.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know when I mean you were also applying to film schools at one time,
Hmm.
and it's like Chapman is one of the great film schools.
Yeah.
I was like, there's a kid from Chapman applying to Loyola right
Hmm.
now,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's like I heard that and I was like what? And then the teacher I can't say told me this information was like they're applying because they aren't getting taught anything. It's just Zoom classes,
Some
and
people
you're
don't
like
even touch a camera till their second year, really.
yeah, like second or even third year,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's like you're paying like thousands of dollars to
Hmm.
be taught this thing, and you aren't getting what, like halfway through you haven't touched the camera. Like
Hmm.
what even is that?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just like blown away. Like I toured some film schools, and just wow. You know, like I went and toured one school. It's, you know, small little lovely school, kind of lovely. I didn't really like it. But anyway,
That evolved quickly.
yeah. Pretty much I go and meet all the film students, and I don't see any like nice cameras around or anything. And not that it's about equipment, it's not. It's not at all.
It's about what the equipment does.
Yeah.
And what that can show you what to do.
It's more about what you can do with it, and that, you know, we've learned that here too. We're not making good films because we have good equipment. It's because we've been, you know, taught how to use it right.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like, I feel like now I can grab the camera that I've had forever, the one that I'm shooting this podcast in, which I love it, but it isn't a good camera, and I know how to use it effectively now, at the point where I can make a quality film with it and be able to present it to, you know, film festivals and be actually proud of the thing I made, you know, and not being like, wow, I have this great story, and then it's like everything looks blurry and out of focus, you know, there's grain everywhere, you know, the colors are not meshing correctly, the bits are too like distorted, the audio quality is god awful, and then you're like, well, then the story is not going through to the person viewing the experience. All they can see is like, wow, this movie looks like shit.
Yeah, totally.
And it's like, and it's a bad thing.
It sounds bad too.
It sounds bad too, and it's
like we took a class just for audio.
Yeah.
Like that's, I don't know if that's like rare, but
I don't know if it is.
When you're
honestly.
using like Pro Tools and I don't know, maybe it's nothing rare, but anyway, sorry, continue.
But the thing I'm trying to get across is how, you know, how you're able to. I mean, it's all about skills. You come to college or you get an education to get skills,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, yeah, the practical aspect is good, and it's effective. But if you're not able to execute, you know, the theory, then what did you pay thousands of dollars for?
You know, I have a really good question that is asked a lot, and I ask myself it too. Do you think film school is truly worth it? And I'd go ahead and say yes, because okay, I've been knowing how to make films my whole life. Like, you know, I could make a film, but I don't know. There's just, you know, there's so many filmmakers who haven't gone to film school, that are fine, like Tarantino, Paul Thomas Anderson, Spielberg, I think. Like, do you think film school is truly worth it, or do you think it's just to enhance your skills, not to give you skills? Did I?
Yeah, no, I understand exactly what you're saying, but in the way that, you know, film school or university for that matter is for skills and to either enhance, teach you new skills, or to learn new skills, then yes. Then it's like, yes. But like the thing is, the degree, film degree, if you go up to any, you can study Harvard University and get a BFA in film.
Yeah, I don't care about the degree really.
But this is the thing. If you don't acquire those skills and you acquire a degree, then you're doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to Paramount, you can go to Universal. It doesn't matter that you studied at Harvard. They're gonna laugh and spit at you. Like it really doesn't matter. But if you have the skills and you're able to quantify those skills and able to use them effectively, then you're going to show your resume and be like, I went to this school, and they're going to be like, wow, a lot of people that came out of this school actually have skills and they're skillful at what they do and what they want to do, and they're able to exact that.
Mm-hmm.
Then yes, absolutely. You know, like,
yeah.
But the thing is, like, if you take Spielberg into perspective, he never went to film school. If I'm I could be wrong, but
he didn't. I'm pretty sure. I think he.
What I do know is that he took the time, as most, like all directors that are known nowadays and household names, they took the time to hone in their skills and learn. I know I was talking about that like this previously. I was like, to realize what is the quickest way from point A to point B to exact a story and to be able to make a script, a movie, and learning how, you know, the quickest A to point B is a straight line, and to be able to get that straight line, you know, and the way they're able to exact this is through studying and research, and a lot of people don't go out of their way, even if they really want to do it, to improve themselves. And they're like, oh, I want to do this thing, and I sort of do it, but they're like not honing in. College gives you the discipline and the metric really to be able to do it, and it offers you the experience, you know. I personally want to go to grad school to be able to hone in on that in a screenwriting sense and like specialize in that, because that's what I want to do. And it's like, I get it, grad school's expensive and there's a lot of things that come with it, but at the same time it's like, do you want to improve the skill and be able to be exposed to people that understand it at a fundamental level? Yes. The answer is always going to be yes.
I'd say, okay, what was I going to say? So, film school, I would say, is not like, you don't have to go to film school. Like, if you want to make
No,
films,
you don't have to go to film school.
You don't have to
go.
But if you go to a good one, you will be shocked at how much you didn't know. I mean, like, I'd say, I mean, I've been doing film since I was like 8, kind of my whole life. Really, I've just been playing around with cameras. I'd say I'm like low key, not a veteran. It's not like I'm making amazing fucking movies or anything, but I just know my stuff with film. But when I came here, there was just so much where I was like, oh my god, like, you know, I don't know. It's worth it, but you don't need it.
Yeah.
And don't think you need film school to be great.
That's true.
But it'll help.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. Well, Houston, it was really nice having you on the podcast, man. I hope to have you again.
Yeah, I want to come back. This has been fun.
Do you want to plug anything? We have 20 seconds on the clock.
20 seconds. I guess maybe I could post links to my films.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't for one yet because it's against festival rules.
I'm gonna post every link in the description. There's 3 seconds left on the clock. All right, I'll see you guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.